Roughly 2 weeks ago, I was informed by some constituents that a new lease had been approved to mine at Lake Jasper, just on the south coast west of Pemberton. And I put this, at first we thought that the lease had been approved as we'd been told, and it turned out that that wasn't true. But before I found out that it wasn't true, I put it up on Facebook. And it's currently got over 40,000 for the reach of it. It was shared more than 585 times. This one little instance of just saying, here's some place that people want to mine, stirred up the population down there and across the state so strongly that, as I said, it reached 40,000 people within about 2 weeks. Now, it turns out that the lease has been applied for, and they've done the correct, put in the right forms, paid the money, and it'll be going through the process through our Department of Mines to decide whether they can get this lease there. Now, even after a lease is approved, they would still then have to ask approval to mine there. And that would hopefully go through the EPA and it would be assessed. But I just want to point out now, if anybody doesn't remember Lake Jasper, but it seems like it's in the psyche of many West Australians because it was fought for so long to try to keep mining away from there. It was in 1988 that the government actually excised the area from the Doncre-Casteau National Park. And soon after, there was a mining lease and applications to mine there. And it turned out, though, that there were acid sulfate soils there. So acid, they're at 2 pH, a pH of 2. Now, there was a mine not too far away called Beenup, which they were sand mining there, and they actually abandoned it within 2 years because of the acid sulfate soils, which are continuing to leach into the Scott River. So there's been considerable effort to find out that this acid sulfate soil is a problem, and there was even a report done for the Department of Water in 2009 by Deggins and Wallace, and the studies showed that the soil near the western shores of Lake Jasper potentially contains sulfuric acid at rates of up to 50 tons per hectare at depths of 70 to 150 centimeters below the soil surface. And the authors of that report rate that the risk of exposure of acid sulfate soils on the western side of Lake Jasper to be at the highest level of risk. So, first point, no need to do it. It's going to cause problems. It's not going to work. It's going to contaminate our water there. And that Lake Jasper is the largest freshwater lake in Western Australia. In addition, it's very highly culturally significant. The Indigenous population down there were well involved with the protests to stop the mining from going ahead there, and they were well represented in the Facebook post so that we know that their support would be there as well to stop this from happening. In addition, since that time, there were flora and fauna surveys done down there. The Australasian bittern is one that's endangered and would suffer if this area was taken mined. Also, there's a number of other flora species, the Caladinia abbreviata, which is the coastal spider orchid, and at least a dozen other species of endangered flora also occur at Lake Jasper. Now, mining was stated to be a threat to that species back then, as well as many of these other species, and therefore in 2006, the government commissioned another report to find out more about that, and there's a significant list of endangered species. And as we all know, in Western Australia, many of our species are only endemic to a very small area, and so one mine such as this could change that. Now, as I said, the mining lease hasn't been approved yet, and I'm really hoping that this doesn't get approval, because that will set us back to where we were in the past when we'd have to start protesting again. There would be applications to mine the area. It's not a good idea. And really what should happen is back in 1996, I think it was Norman Moore, the Honourable Norman Moore, who said that really what we should do with this is put it back into the national park. So if we can not approve this lease application and then start the process of putting it back into the national park, those 40,000 people that this reached and that were so appalled by such a thing that might happen would be relieved and be very thankful that the government recognised the problems from the past and didn't make the community go through that whole process all over again to try to get this Lake Jasper, this highly culturally sensitive space, protected again for all time. Thank you.